What's happening, hobby people? My name is Jacob from the Dry Paint Pot, and today we're going to talk about commission painting, and we're going to figure out if it's right for you. So stick around. Now, for those of you who don't know what commission painting is, it's a simple transaction. Someone wants you to paint something, they give you the models, you build them, you paint them, and then you give them back, and that's it. But it's not really that simple. I really wish it was, but it's not. You see, there are a lot of little things with commission painting that you cannot expect, and there are these speed bumps that you're going to encounter, and it kind of ruins the experience. It can make it just not enjoyable. It makes what it should be something simple very complicated, and hopefully this video will help you avoid that. See, I've been commission painting now for like 3 years, and there's been a lot of little things that I've encountered that I didn't even expect. I didn't even know that I was going to run into these things until I did, and luckily I had a really great community to back me up. I was able to ask a lot of questions and ask a bunch of people who have been in the hobby for like 15 plus years, 20 plus years, but hopefully this video will help you if you don't have that kind of support group that can give you good advice on, commission painting. So the two main goals of this video is to, one, make sure that you're compensated properly for your painting and your work, and two, make sure that this is what you want to do, because commission painting isn't just painting models. I think that's a common misconception. They think, oh, you're at home painting models, so you must be having a great time. But it's a lot more difficult than just that. So let's just get things started and jump right into it. So the very first question that you have to ask yourself is, why do you want to start commission painting? If you're planning on getting rich or paying your bills, then yeah, you don't have the right idea, because commission painting, as fun as it is, and as many people out there want their models painted, you're not going to cover your mortgage and your utilities and your phone bill with the money you're going to make. In all honesty, your first few months of commission painting, maybe even your first year, you're just going to make some money that's going to cover like your paint cost and buy you lunch. Maybe you can put away some of that money and buy some new models, but consider it as a way to just get some more pocket money. Don't focus on making this your career, that you're going to live off of, because in all honesty, you probably won't be able to cover all of your living expenses with commission painting. But that shouldn't be a reason to not commission paint, because there are so many awesome reasons why you should. You see, I've been commission painting for 3 years now, and what I really love about it is it allows you to get your hands on models that you normally wouldn't buy. So for instance, I just painted some Necrons for a buddy of mine, and this was a pretty big commission, and I never painted Necrons before, and it was so fun. And as much as I'm like an Imperial loyalist, I really like painting Necrons. I had so much fun. It's really cool. They have so many cool weapons, and I enjoy, all the metal to it. So it gives you a chance to paint some new things, and it gives you some money for doing it. And if you love this hobby and you just love to paint, why not get paid? It's great. So just make sure when you're getting into this, you're coming in with the right mindset. Don't plan on becoming rich, just have a good time and get paid for your work. Now, the next thing that you need to do before you start commission painting is make sure you have the proper tools. Now, you don't need all the fancy lights and equipment, but you're gonna need some of the basics. Make sure you have some good brushes, that's number one. Make sure you have some basic colors. When I mean basic colors, you need black, you need white, you need your primaries. Make sure you have all of that set aside, because I can't even tell you how many times I take on a commission and it requires a color that I don't have, and I either have to make it or have to go out and buy it. And if you're gonna be buying it, then that's coming out of your money. And that sucks, it really does. I haven't done a commission, I don't think, that I haven't had to buy a new paint for. So consider that when you charge for your painting. Now, one thing that you can do if you have a limited paint supply is have the person provide you the colors that you need. but we'll talk about that a little later when we start dealing with pricing. But make sure you have your brushes, make sure you have some paint, make sure you have light, and make sure you have the time to commission paint, because you don't want to dedicate yourself to a project that you won't be able to finish. And a lot of people want their models painted in a timely manner. They can't wait like 6 months to get that one Space Marine painted. I mean, by then we'll have like 3 new codexes. So just make sure that you have all those things before you move forward. So the next thing that I highly suggest you do is start small. I can't tell you how many commission painters I've met, get right into it and they take on like an entire army, like something huge, or maybe some kind of monster or a knight. And it doesn't happen all the time, but those who do that, I think they tire out fairly fast. It's just so much for you to do all at once, especially when you're new into this. It's easier just to take on single models at a time, figure out your pace, and see how you even like this. Because like I said, commission painting isn't like normal painting. It's not your everyday, I don't know, I've got an hour, I'm gonna just, paint some of my Marines or whatever you do. Money's involved. So that complicates things just a little bit. So what I would do is find someone, maybe it be a friend or someone from your local shop, and see if they want something painted. And if you can get your hands on like a Reaper Mini or maybe a single Space Marine or whatever you're comfortable with painting, grab that, paint it for them, and just start there. And then work your way up to small units or vehicles. Just figure out your pace and see what you're comfortable with. Now with that, I highly suggest that you learn some good painting techniques that are going to speed up your process. So what that looks like is prime, base coat, wash, highlight, and then base, or wherever you want to base. You could start with basing. It's up to you. But you want to find a good method like that. This way you kind of know what you're doing. You have like a place to start, because it's awful to just start with a model and have no idea where to begin. You don't know what to start painting, or if you want to leave some parts out and paint them later separately and glue them on. I mean, it could be quite daunting to jump into commission painting and have no idea where to begin. And these good techniques will also speed up your painting, which means you'll be able to get these models back to the customer faster. So find a good technique that works for you, that's time efficient, and master it. The next question is a tricky one. How much do you charge? And that's still one that I struggle with to this very day. It's really difficult to figure out how much to charge for a model. And I can almost guarantee you that you're going to charge less than you're going to put into it every time. You see, the reason it's so tricky is because, first off, your first customers are most likely going to be friends or people from your local game store. So these are people that you're hanging out with on the weekends, you're playing games with them, everything is casual, and now money's involved. Money always complicates things. So now you're looking at someone who, is used to playing a fun casual game with you, and you're saying, hey, pay me to do some work. And since they're your friends or they're people that you like to hang out with, it's going to feel weird to charge them certain amounts of money, especially if it's a big project. If your buddy wants you to paint a knight, it might feel weird to say, hey, I need $200, because that's a big chunk of change. That's a lot of money. But, it's a lot of time to paint a knight. It takes a lot of paint to paint a knight. So the very first thing that I suggest you do is figure out your worth. Take a look at your models. Just, look at your collection, or look at the models that you've painted for other people, and just try to get a general idea. Say, how much would I pay to have someone paint what I painted? Another great thing that you can do is start at minimum wage, or roughly around your minimum wage. So minimum wage over here in Florida is like $8.25, something like that, $8.30, I don't know. I started there and I decided to go down a little bit. At the time, I probably could have charged more, but like I said, I always end up charging less. So I figured it takes me like 4 hours to paint a model. I'll charge $5 an hour, $20. So $20 was pretty dang good. And like I said in the very beginning, you're not going to get rich. You're not going to pay your bills. This is just a way to make a little bit of extra money while you're also having a good time. But you don't want to undercharge. You don't want to look at your commission painting and say like, I did so much work and it was not worth my time, because that's going to discourage you from commission painting in the future. While searching online over the years trying to figure out how much to charge for my painting, no one usually said how much they were charging. It was kind of difficult for me to find a specific number to stick with. So if it helps you, I can tell you that in my first year of commission painting, I was charging, like I said, $20 a model, and I was painting models that were, I don't know, yay big. They were like Batman minis, maybe like the size of a Space Marine. So Space Marine size, $20 a model. Now you can go more or less than that depending on what you think is fair, but that's kind of a good spot to stay, I think, especially if you're going to put a lot of time into it and you're a half decent painter. Now there are a few other things that you have to consider before you start charging for a model. Do you have to build the model? Because that's going to take some time and some supplies as well. If you're building a giant resin model, resin isn't that easy to put together. It's not just the same as plastic. And if it has a lot of little sprue bits all over that you're gonna have to clean up, that you're gonna have to sand, you might need to buy a new emery board, you might need a new X-Acto knife, you're going to have to consider that. If you're building the model as well, I highly suggest charging just a few extra dollars for your time. You know, it usually takes me, I don't know, if I'm doing like a pretty decent sized model, maybe 30 minutes to put together, just getting all the mold lines off and making sure everything fits properly. You know, you want to take your time with it. It's not your model, so you want to treat it like it's gold. So that extra 30 minutes or 45 minutes, you're going to want to be compensated for that. Also consider any extra things that your customer might want. For instance, if you're painting Necrons and they want like these fancy crystals on the bases and you don't own crystals, then you're gonna have to order some or go to your local game store and buy some. That's gonna come out of your pocket. So if they want those extra things, just let them know like, hey, I don't have those crystals, I would love to put them on the bases. So if you wanna buy them, I can use them and give you, what's left over, which is a win-win. You don't have to pay for the material, but you can still make what they want you to make, and then they get the leftovers, which they can use in the future if they want, someone else to paint models for them, or they want to give it a shot themselves. Or again, charge extra and just let the person know what you're charging them for. That is so important when you're commission painting, is to break down all your cost. Some people might tell you not to, but just be honest. Like, we're not trying to rip anyone off. Commission painting is just, you want to paint other people's stuff, but you also are giving them your time. So you want to be compensated. So let's look at an example real quick. Let's say somebody wants me to paint the Primaris Chaplain on a bike. So here in the US, that costs $40. If I'm picking up the model and paying for it at the store, I'm going to first charge them $40, plain and simple. Now, if they want me to build that, which obviously I have to if I'm picking up the model, that's an additional $5 or $10. So now we're at $50. If they want me to pick up any extra bits for the base, let's say it's the Citadel skull kit, that's like $20. And they want all the skulls when I'm done with it, which why wouldn't they want the leftover bits? That's an additional $20. So now they're looking at $70. Now we have to factor in what it's going to cost to paint the model. Let's say I charge $60. So that's 70 plus 60, $130. That's the total cost. So you let them know, okay, I can absolutely pick up that model, paint it for you, do all the little extra things that you need. It's going to be $130. And then break down all the different costs so they can see exactly where their money is going. Now, if they don't like that amount, they can always work with you there. They can say, well, hey, instead of paying for you to pick up the model, I'll actually buy it. Maybe they have like a good deal at their local game store where they can get it for cheaper. So, if it's too much, they can kind of figure out where they can cut some costs and understand fully where their money is going. Now, when it comes to getting this money, I highly suggest that you use some kind of electronic transaction. I like to use PayPal. I'm just kind of old school with it. That's what I like. So I just give them my email. They PayPal me the money, I do the work. And I usually charge half up front and then half once the project is done. The good thing about an electronic payment is it keeps track of how much you were given. So if you do a project for $40 and you ask for $20 up front and $20 once you were done, and that person paid you in cash, $20, and then later on when they go to pick up the model, they're like, oh, I thought I gave you the 40. That makes things weird and complicated. And I'm not saying that people are gonna do this, but they might try to rip you off that way. It's really easy to just be like, hey man, no, I gave you the money for it. Give me my model back, that's mine, I paid for it. And that sucks. That's also going to ruin your experience. So use PayPal, use whatever Cash App you use, and make sure that you keep track of what you were given to keep things honest. Now here's a key tip. You can always paint for trade. Don't forget that. So you don't have to charge, $100 to paint their model. You can say, hey, give me $50 and also that dreadnought that you have. And if they have spare models and there are models that you need, do it that way. That's always fun too. I have painted for trade plenty of times. I still do to this very day. It just depends on, one, how bad I need the money, and two, how bad I want what they have. So also consider that when you're trying to figure out what to charge for your work. Now, the last really big question that you're gonna have is, how do I find customers? And it's actually quite simple, because your first few customers, I guarantee you, are going to be your friends. It's going to be the people that you play these tabletop games with. Now, starting your commission painting with friends is a good thing, because you can figure out how much to charge for your work in a friendly environment. If you overcharge a stranger, they might get offended, or if you undercharge them, then you're getting ripped off by someone you don't know, and that sucks. At least if you undercharge with your friends, you're kind of doing them a favor. It's like, okay, everything's friendly, we're pals. I know I didn't charge enough, but no big deal. But if you undercharge a stranger, it just kind of sucks. You're like, oh, you probably knew that, my work was worth way more, and I feel kind of ripped off. And that sucks. So just spread the word, talk to your friends, let them know, hey, I'm commission painting, do some painting for trade, start charging a little bit. And once you're comfortable, then start branching out. You can always leave some flyers or business cards at your local game store. I've done that in the past and it works out. So just talk to the owner, say like, hey, I'm doing some commission painting, can I leave these flyers here? And if it's a cool owner, they'll most likely say yes. Also, Facebook and Instagram is great for this. I do suggest avoiding any kind of long distance shipping, because you have a greater chance of the model getting broken or it getting lost. And if you're just starting out with doing some commission painting, it might be a lot to have to figure out shipping and international costs and all that junk. It's complicated. So you can find some tabletop gaming groups in your area on Facebook and just talk to them, just spread the word that you're doing some commission painting and go from there. So 3 key tips to remember before we wrap things up. 1, don't wonder if you're ready for commission painting. It's so very easy to discourage yourself to start commission painting. You wonder, well, maybe I'm not ready yet, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I don't have all the things I need. But that's awful, because you're never going to be good enough, at least not in your eyes. You're gonna see other people painting online and think like, oh wow, they're charging for their work, but mine looks like this. So I can't start commission painting because I'm not at that level. But there's no right level to be at. There's not a certain amount of skill that you need to start painting for people. You just have to start doing it. So if you can hold a brush and get paint in 90% of the right places, you can start commission painting. Simple as that. Number 2, be prepared to make your fun activity your work. If painting miniatures is your escape, if it's your one thing that you do to get away from work and the headaches of life, and now you're gonna start charging for it and making it like a business, be prepared to make that switch. Because when you're commission painting, you have a deadline. The work has to be perfect. And it starts making things feel a little less like me time and more like, okay, back to work. So if this is your escape from work, just remember that you're about to do some more work. And number 3, beware of taking on too many projects. If the people in your area don't paint their models and there aren't a bunch of commission painters out there, you might have a ton of commissions come your way. And while that is so very good, it might also be too much for you right now. Think of it this way. Let's say everyone wants you to paint one model and you think, well, $5 a model sounds good. Well, you just told 5 people that you'll paint their models for $5 a pop. Once you're done with that first model, if you look at it and you think, wow, I should have charged way more for this, well, you have to paint 4 more models for the same price. And if you feel like that's not fair, then you're gonna feel that 4 other times. Yeah, that sucks. Also, you don't know how long it's gonna take you to knock on a model, especially if they're models that you're not used to painting. So let's say you take on those 5 projects, you tell the people, well, it should take me about, I don't know, a week to do each model. and then all of a sudden you find yourself hitting some speed bumps and running into some issues, and a month's passed and you just finished one model, you're gonna have 4 other people that are unhappy. And they might need these models for tournaments. And especially 9th edition, I'm pretty sure you get points now for having painted models. So not only are you gonna slow things down for them, but you might cost them points in a tournament, and that's not good. You do not wanna be that commission painter. So I really hope that this information helps you with getting into commission painting, or if you're already a painter, I hope that these tips help you to make this just a better experience. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Either drop a comment down below or message me privately, and I'd love to talk about what you got going on and hopefully answer any of your questions. I'd like to give a huge shout out to my patrons Leandris and Shay Phillip. Thank you both so very much for your support, and as you already know, it is your help that keeps these videos coming each week. And if you'd also like to help support the channel, get your hands on a dry paint pot sticker, get these videos early each week, and all the other goodies that come along with being a patron, I'll drop a link to my Patreon down low. And if you'd like to just hang out and talk about the hobby, I'll also drop a link to my Discord down low too. Now let's check out this week's viewer submissions. All right, starting things off with these Harpies by Che Gavesa. I am so happy to see them put together. You know, so many models out there just get left in the boxes. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because I have models unbuilt in the boxes too, but I feel like the first step to getting it out on the table or getting in the case, obviously, is putting it together. So it's really exciting to see like the first step of this project, and I can't wait to see them painted. And this one caught me by surprise. See, each week I go through all of my tag posts, and you know, like I always say, I pick out my favorites, and I found this thing. Now, this is by C Crazy 420, and I don't know what it is. The skulls look really good. The cloth, like the purple cloth all around, looks amazing. I just don't know what the hell it is. Apparently it's called, let's see, codename Biggie Smalls. So whatever that is, I'm like so excited to see it. Be sure to share any of your work with me both on Instagram and Facebook at The Dry Paint Pot, because I pick my favorites each week and I feature them in my upcoming videos. Also, be sure to like and subscribe, because, I mean, you know, you've heard it from everyone else on YouTube. It helps the channel. Now wash your brushes, clean your paint pots, and keep on painting.